Welcome to the Rural Alliance UK podcast, episode 337, Touching the Void. We are here. It is the NFL draft. We are on the precipice of it, but we are here for one last show to preview bits and pieces. I am Matthew Turner alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. How are you doing, boys?
This
Doing good.
is an absolutely monumental day. For those who don't know, for the first time ever today, Matt watched the film Draft Day. It's the first time he's ever seen it in his life, ever. And not only did he watch it, but he really loved it as well. And in 5 years nearly 5 years of doing this podcast, this might be the first ever good take Matt's had about a film ever. So like when you're a parent and you see your child take their first steps and your chest fills full of pride and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was here to witness that. I'm feeling like a proud parent today. And the draft's here. I'm feeling complete.
You pancake eating motherfucker.
Oh,
I didn't realise we were going to start out hot like that, you twat.
You can't make it easy.
Oh, I can't recover from that. Oh my Christ. Oh, we are here, of course, to talk about Draft Day 1. We're going to have two guests on the show with us. First up, in about 20 minutes' time, we have Brett Kerwood, who is a Cleveland Browns fan, but he's not just a Cleveland Browns fan. He may be the biggest brained, smartest NFL fan you ever did meet. Thinking back to last year's off-season, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you were a fan of the show at that point, but we ran a series of Detroit Lions-themed quizzes with an application that I bought. Everyone did it together. It was quite good fun. It was hard to make the quizzes, I'm not going to lie, but I enjoyed being quizmaster. And Brett, as a Cleveland Browns fan, won the overall consolidated quiz. So we did 4, and he won 3 of them, and Ash won the other one. His knowledge of the NFL at large is incredible, and of course Cleveland picking it 2, having his input is going to be really, really interesting about how this draft is going to fall, because don't know about you boys, and we'll get into it in just a minute, but it feels like the first domino to fall. Do they or do they not pick it 2? And if they do pick it 2, is it going to be what everyone thought in terms of it being our favourite two-way player, or could it be Abdul Carter, or could it be someone coming up for Ashton Genty? Who knows?
Yeah, we're waiting for one domino to fall, aren't we? It's like which domino is it? It's a house of cards right now, and one's gonna fall, then everything's gonna fall. But people are holding their guns right now. It feels like a Mexican standoff with about 20 teams all pointing guns at one another. Which one is gonna fire first? Because something's gonna happen eventually. You just get the feeling it's in the air, but teams don't want to unload their powder too quickly, because then other teams can react. I think during the draft, it's going to be insane. I think it must have been about 3, 4 years ago when we traded up for Jameson Williams. There was
it was a load.
4 trades in like 4 picks or something. The Eagles came up. I think Denver came up, and it was just trade after trade after trade after trade. I'm getting that similar vibes again this year. Like one's going to fall, then everyone's going to fall.
Yeah, I can completely agree. Plus, there's obviously the complete wild card that they just decide to F everyone over and go QV, and suddenly everyone's mock drafts have gone to shit. But I don't anticipate that. Obviously, I stand by my take yesterday. They take Hunter and then trade up with a team, us, and then come up to get Shador Sanders, stop his slide, and suddenly we're at the top of the second with our picks of whoever's left from the first round. Or if teams want to trade up with us, like that always happens, everyone seemingly wants that first pick of the second round to get their choice. We get even more capital. Finally, we can maybe fill that hole that's in day 3 that seemingly is there. It's still exciting though. Just a bit upset that there's first round hype going around Jaden Higgins now. I was hoping, we trade back and get him, and suddenly I'm a happy boy. Seemingly he's getting first round hype now, and that's not good.
And then our next guest as well is going to be Brian from the UK Cowboys Fans podcast. We've had Brian on before. He's excellent value and very knowledgeable. The UK Cowboys Fans podcast is one of the most successful UK-based NFL podcasts. They regularly have senior employees in the organization come onto their show and talk with them. I think they've talked with their director of player personnel and all of that sort of stuff about the draft. They have contact with them after the draft has happened to kind of find out what happened, and that's all quite personal as a relationship. So to have their insight into, you know, what their expectations are. And I mean, Dallas boys, I mean, again, we'll get into this again, but it feels like another team that, whilst they've been heavily favoured to go in one direction, being wide receiver, it's a team where they can go in a lot of different directions. You know, defensive line is lacking, corner is up and down. You know, they haven't been able to stop the run. The running back is a perennial need for them since Zeke fell off a cliff. You know, it's an interesting team to look at.
I was listening to Tom Pelissero earlier, and they said that if John T falls beyond 6 or 7, if trades happen and that, then they might be up there for him. You know, because he's one of only 3 teams he's visited, so there's a lot of interest there. This whole thing's just messed because no one knows where people are on each other's boards. There's no consensus outside the top 5, 6 picks. As they said, there could be 50 guys picked tonight. Maybe even more than 50 guys picked tonight. So it's who favors this person, who favors that person. It's just, so that's why it's physically impossible to tell what any of these will do. But like the Cowboys could certainly be up there. Hell, they might go even higher. Who knows? Jerry likes a flashy guy, doesn't he? Gianti is a perfect flashy product for his franchise. Hell, that might go to 4 or 3. I think this is what is making it exciting, but at the same point, you just wish a little something would happen beforehand, because this does also have the potential to fall flat on its face, and nobody moves.
Yeah, plus they could be, let's say, I don't know, we said they need the offensive line, those kind of edge rushers that their flaws are character issues. Well, the Cowboys are one of the teams that really do not care about character issues. If I don't know, they're seeing Mike Green slide to them and they're like, wow, this is the perfect fit for us. They'll happily take him. Same with, again, I know it's a bit more wishy-washy with James Pierce, but again, if teams do have those character evaluation issues with him and the Cowboys see him sliding perfectly to them, again, they'll be more than happy to take him and play him, because they've done it with Sam Williams before, the old Miss Edge who's had issues. All these kind of guys, they seemingly love to take because they seem to value their culture enough to deal with that kind of thing. And obviously Jerry is Jerry. If he loves a guy, he's going to come take him. So yeah, they could go any which way. And that's exciting. They could stop Tet slide if he doesn't get picks before them. Running back, as you say, Marion Hampton could be an option there. Travion Henderson, if they really trust their evaluation, kind of like they did a couple of years ago with Zeke, who also came out of Ohio State. They're definitely one of the wild card teams in this draft, this first round for me.
Many thanks to a couple of people who have contributed to the show already. Brent DeWitt in the chat with a $2 super chat, which has Lions Rule, the Bears Drool, and Jeff Hurley with the $10 super sticker on this show. But Jeff was very generous and also donated $10 on a super thanks for Ant's breakdown of a player which you released earlier today. And who was that on?
So it was on the SMU edge rusher, Elijah Roberts. Player I've liked for quite a while, and also Brent requested it done. So, you know, I thought, well, why not? Because he's good fun. And if we're going to take 2 edges in this draft, he's going to be in that Gelotish region where, you know, there's a lot of disrespected ACC edge rushers out this year. Make a good second one for the Lions. So he's part of that. He's good fun to watch. So, yeah, if you not had a chance to check it, and if we do draft him per chance, there you go. You've got your footage for him already.
And thank you again to Jeff Hurley for the $10 super thanks on our Monday show, where we did a full first round predictive mock draft, which I don't know about you boys, but frankly, it kind of feels like chuck it in the toilet and start again at this point. It feels like everything has changed since Monday, with all of the rumours and whispers about people going here and there and people trading up and down and whatever. It's been absolutely crazy.
Yeah. There's 100 things. Well, 100 things. There's a load of things I want to change about it, but it's too late to lock it in now. We've locked it in. We just got to sit there and deal with it. At least we put some thought into ours, unlike some people whose like final mock drafts have seen, and they really take one tiny little bit of information and run with it. Like the amount of ones I've seen with us, I know obviously us three had a debate on our Discord server about Will Johnson at 28, but Maxwell Harrison at 28 saying, oh, yeah, well, they had a top 30 visit with him. They must really love him. They want to play him outside. Like, all this, they've already given up an ace for extra. And I'm like, it's a local day. Like, I bet there's like 20 prospects that the Philadelphia Eagles, who is the team that this person supports, I bet they had 20 people at their local day that they're not even going to touch. They're just doing it to get evaluations on other people. So at least I feel a bit better about it than some of the ones I've seen.
I wanted to screw mine up after I'd done it. there's just no, I spend all year prepping for this, watching prospects, and I've never been more uncertain of a year in my entire life. It's just, even the most rational thinking mock out there, I look and I'm just like, that's not even close. And, it's so difficult. This is what happens when you don't have like a solid top 10 or 15 to base yourself off, and you got like 5. But I don't know. I guess at least this year it means, we figure out maybe who is some of the better ones and who are not, because you really do have to deep dive it this year. Really do. But I am confident that my 5 trade mock will be right, though. I think there'll be 5 or more. So hopefully at least one of them is a trade I predicted. If we do 5 trades and not one of them I got right, I'm going to be really, really upset.
Many thanks to Contrapastan as well in the chat with the $10 super chat. Says, thrilled to finally add to the pride. Many thanks, Contrapastan. Many thanks to all of you for contributing to the show. It makes a big difference to us in being able to do what we do. And, who knows, eventually, if we do make enough from this, it will fund a trip, which would be pretty cool. If not, improve some of our equipment too. So, much obliged. One piece of Lions news just to get to before we do welcome Brett into the room. And Ash said he specifically wore his jersey yesterday because he thought the news was going to come. And then it came about 10 minutes after we went off the air. But Lions safety Kirby Joseph has been re-signed by the Lions to a 4-year, $86 million deal. That's $21.5 million APY. He is the highest paid safety in history. And boys, in an era where it felt like a safety couldn't get paid for love nor money in the off-season, you saw, vested vets, quality ones, not getting signed for very much at all. They were getting absolute pennies, most of them, apart from maybe the elite of the elite. And, you see their stock in the draft fall massively because of their position. And the Lions have kept their word that if you play well for us, we will pay you like you should be deserving of. So it's a nice thing to see for the Lions, but my God, that's a lot of money.
As someone who loves safeties, the fact that probably in 2 years' time we're going to have the most expensive tandem in the entirety of the NFL is good. Like, safeties deserve their recognition. I don't know why the position's so devalued. The safeties can make the corners, and on this team, Kirby makes the rest of that secondary. Branch makes the rest of that secondary. They're highly critical, but you're right. The word behind this is you play well and we draft you. We're going to pay you by hook or by crook. We will find you a way, and you will expect that's going to be the way with most of these guys. People say we're going to have to let go and that. You can work around it. You've just got to try and cheapen your roster down elsewhere. You've got to try and make sensible moves. But, once again, they do it, and you would expect Hutch is going to be soon as well. Expect that's going to get done. That's going to be the big one that really sort of banjaxes your cap. But, 4 years, this deal's going to look tiny when Kyle Hamilton gets paid soon. Like, you're setting the market before the big boys come in and, like, the big contracts come in. It's just good business. And, I mean, we've still no idea on the guarantees or anything yet. I think Winfield got about 45 million on his, but, if you keep the guarantees at 45, 50 million, then in later years, if the worst goes wrong or you want to trade him later down the line 3 or 4 years, you've got some pretty good leverage still. It's not going to kill you down the way. So, it's a great deal. Every time one of these draft picks gets signed, it's a win for us. Like, our core gets stronger and stronger and more secure. So, good on him. He's earned it, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, he definitely has. As obviously the biggest UK fan of him, just because he's my first and probably biggest draft hit I'm ever going to get in my scouting career. So I'll ride it to the bank. This is a guy who, since he's entered the league, has led the league in interceptions. He is the guy that ended Aaron Rodgers' career in Green Bay. He is going to be the guy that will eventually end his one-year career in Pittsburgh when we play him this year at Ford Field. He deserves it. He has become a leader in the locker room in the past year. His big issues, which run defense tackling, he's improved. Like, this is a guy who, makes the back end. Okay, I know he had a bit of a slump his second year. That's because the corner situation he was playing with, he thought he had to go play like hero ball, as we say, like the QBs, like obviously the big knock on Cam Ward is it. He does that. That's what Kirby was doing on the back end. Like, he was playing with Kindle Vildor with Cam Sutton as his starting cornerbacks in the NFC Championship game. He has really developed and he deserves this. And the good news is we've probably done a Philadelphia Eagles where obviously there's supposedly the new TV deal coming in 2029. That 4-year deal takes you pretty much to then. So it could be they've added void years onto it after that. So then when the cap is supposed to boom after this new TV deal, it's going to look like chips then. And then the void years we'll have on it, we can either just take with the increase in the cap, or if he continues this trajectory, which is on as the best free safety in the league, and I don't care. I know Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons got that tag the past couple of years. Kirby is it now. He is the best free safety in this league. We'll probably re-sign him again. And then with Branch, we know he's coming up for his next year. But I don't care. Re-sign him as well. I know, obviously, I do subscribe to you can't pay everyone, but that's how this regime works. You draft players, they play well, you sign them, and then you look at, and then you sort of bolster it with low-level free agency signings and draft picks. That's what we're going for now. So him and Branch, they're going to get their bags, and it just proves why players want to come here now, because he backs away when Kirby was drafted. Well, and Amara as well. Amara said he didn't want to come here. Kirby was probably a bit like, oh, for God's sake, I'm going to the Lions. Look at him now.
I know that Brett's in the building, but I'm going to introduce him in just a second. There was one thing I just wanted to get to briefly from a listener, the first question we had from GavisconCon, who says, top 3 wish list ? I'm presuming for the Lions. Jihad Campbell, James Pierce Jr., Shermar Stewart. Thoughts ? Who's your top 3 wants, and what do you think of theirs?
Yes, to Jihad Campbell. I know linebacker right now is loaded for us, but there's your potential eventual Alex Anzalone replacement if you don't want to re-sign him, but you can also play Sam as well. I love the guy. I don't think he's making it past Tampa, though, unfortunately, which upsets me. James Pierce, I can see why people like him. For me, it's just not for me. Shamar Stewart, the same. I said yesterday with the similar kind of thing with Nicky Marori. Definitely got the athletic tools to succeed. Just haven't seen the production, unfortunately. Not to roast you, obviously, if they do pick them, welcome him with open arms. But for me, I'm looking elsewhere for the edges. So Donovan Ezra, who I know is a similar size to James Pierce, but much better against the run, been a bit more consistent, and is a bit more of a culture fit, considering some of the stuff that's come out about Pierce. I know there's rumours and that. Number 3, you know what? I'm sold on it. I've watched a bit more of him today while I was at the gym. Tyler Booker. If he somehow makes it past the Vikings, because I know JJ McCarthy's pounding the table for him because they used to play at IMG together. If we can somehow get him, there's right guard sorted. Mahogany and Glasgow can battle it out for left guard, and we're sorted at right guard, because that's where you look at Zeitler. You can look at Hal Vaitai, our 2 pass right guards. They weren't exactly the most athletic guys, but they were rock solid in run defense and in pass pro. That's what we want. So those are my top 3 right now. This will probably change in a couple of hours when I watch a bit more tape while I have dinner, but who knows?
They did an interview with Kalen DeBoer earlier, and he said that he can be trained at right tackle, Tyler Booker, because they played him there a tiny little bit, which would change his... I don't know whether teams have been thinking about, obviously the guy who's been training him, he said that he reckons he can be retrained, so that maybe is why he's a little higher. But, fits maybe multiple things then if you do.
Yeah, I know you're not exactly subscribed to Raz, but I'm just pulling out to see what he would be at tackle.
Even worse.
Probably even worse, yeah, but it's there. It's one of the tools they've got. I might as well use it. OG. I do love Booker, though. I know, obviously, I was a bit of a Raz warrior, but I started letting me load it. God damn it.
Don't worry about it. And who's your top 3 wants?
Yeah. What, is this a first round thing, or?
Yeah.
Top three in this order: Walter Nolan, Donovan Aziruaku, Nick Skowerton. In that order, that would be my three. So if I can end up with one of them, I'll be mightily happy at the end of day one.
I really don't know who I want now. I've thought about it so much, I've kind of come back on myself. I haven't got a clue. Aziruaku, I think, is the most likely player who I would like. Is he my biggest one? Obviously not. But trying to work out who's even realistic at this point is really hard. Who's going to fall? Like, last week, in my head, I was like, I'd like Kelvin Banks. I picked him in a mock draft. Like, in a live mock draft that we did for another site. But now it seems like he's going to go top 10. So, God knows. I'd love Ibuka. I've really come around to him after profiling before and not liking him as much. But he doesn't really fit. I don't care. It's too hard. Josh Connolly. I know it'd be a bit of a reach, but I'd love him. I love him. Anyway, shall we bring in Brett? It is time for our first guest of the evening. Brett Kerwood, how are you, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you three?
Good. I think we're good, boys.
Hide your favourite draft picks because you'll mock draft them.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Brett, you have been going
just that
through.
guy.
You've been going through in our Discord about a mock draft for every team, haven't you? It's been quite a thing for you.
Yeah. It's new for me this year, but I've been really enjoying it. Especially for the lines as well. You've had so many mocks come into that Discord. I mean, I was listening to you just now about all your edge needs with the boss Donovan.
Is he Iruaku?
Thinking to Ant about his second name.
I think it's Aziruaku, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that.
I'll butcher that, but yeah, I'm really excited for this. I'm excited for how the Browns will butcher this as well.
So, coming in, obviously, the Browns have not had the best of seasons. It almost feels unfair to go into too much about how it's gone spectacularly wrong. Let me ask you this. With everything that happened with Watson, even if it had gone well for him personally, surely he would have still ended up here. And this is kind of my problem with it. Like, would you not still now be going, well, we can't ever get rid of him and we're having to hemorrhage talent to facilitate that deal? Like, I kind of look at it going, this had no chance from the start.
No, never. I was against it for a lot of reasons, mainly obviously the big one that a lot of people were against it for. And the trade itself, 3 first-round picks for a guy that hadn't played for a good, like, the whole of 2021, big portion of 2020, he didn't play that well. He wasn't like a top 5, top 10 QB. And then you look at 2022 and it's like, oh, okay, not the greatest in that second half. Then 2023, it was downhill. And then 2024 with the ACL tear. And yeah, we're now looking at Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett as QB 1 and 2 currently. So fingers crossed we don't drink the Kool-Aid and take Shadir Sanders at 2, because if we do, I'm not going to have a good night. Really, it's not going to be a fun night if we draft Shadir at 2, because I know I'm going to hear it from you guys in that Discord, and I'm going to hear it from a lot of people.
If you do want to be a part of the Discord as well, if you're watching us for the first time, if you're not a Lions fan, do come and join us. It's fun, even if you're not a Lions fan. I really believe that. So there's a link in the YouTube chat at the moment if you want to come and join us. Just briefly before we talk about the draft, Brett, where does all your NFL knowledge come from about all of the other teams? Because I'm a bit flummoxed about the fact that you won the Lions quiz over the summer that we did 3 times.
Oh, do you mean the one where I won that?
Yeah. Yeah, he requested.
Do you want to have a quick look at that? Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. The winner did get a jersey of their choice, and Brett chose a Lions jersey. So
I should be more careful with what I say, because I know Ash is in Nottingham, so he could come and find me at any time.
Exactly.
No, I don't know. It just comes and go. It's just come about, really. It's just looking at the teams, looking at where they've got holes. I mean, for us, we've got more holes than a Swiss cheese, or like a Green Bay cheese, for example. But like you guys, you've got the needs at edge, you've got the needs at interior line, interior offensive line, and then you've got weaknesses in terms of depth at like safety and maybe wide receiver as well.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to like gauge the like do the mock drafts and then feed them back to you guys and see what you think. So that's kind of where I build it.
Which is amazing because if you hear from every mock draft, they go, "Oh, I did this mock draft, and this entire fan base now hates me." So the fact that you've managed to do that and retain your respect is quite amazing. So, Browns, many holes. I think in your mock draft, you and in fact you've been doing this for all of them really, but there's been at least one trade down to get a few more picks to make it interesting. But what's your perfect? Almost sounded like Hot Fuzz. What's your perfect Sunday? What's your perfect Thursday, day one for the Cleveland Browns? Is it accumulating picks first and foremost, or do you think you should be drafting it too?
See, the news that came out today with Jacksonville saying they want to bold trade up. The Giants and Browns are ringing around, maybe shipping their second or third picks out. I think the Jags thing is just smoke screens, in all honesty. I think Wilby will be picking it too, and I think it will be Travis Hunter it too. Which I've grown to. I mean, if we traded Miles Garrett, 100% the pick would have been Abdul Carter, and I think the Titans will be locked into Cam Ward, so we'd have got Carter too anyway. But I think it's all smoke screens for me, like just late smoke screens in terms of teams panicking and then saying, "Oh, we need to trade up." Like the Bears, for example, they're picking at 10. Obviously, the Jags might be picking Ashton Genty, which doesn't make sense, but well, at the minute it doesn't make sense. But it could be just trying to get teams to panic and move up and cost themselves draft picks. But I think Travis, round one, pick two, I think it's locked in. If we got back into the first round, I would like to see either. Oh, again, there's so many holes. Well, probably a wide receiver at the end of the first, potentially.
Okay.
If we take Jackson Dart again, that tanks the whole night. But I'm not in the GM's office.
Would you hate any quarterback pick if you went back into the end of the first? Would you hate Shadur at 31 or something like that?
I wouldn't mind Dart at 33, so I wouldn't mind the move up. If we move back into the first round for Dart, it's also about the fifth year option as well, further down the line. Because obviously using the lines, for example, you had Aiden Hutchinson in 2022, you've also had Kirby Joseph, you've just extended Kirby, and now you're picking up the fifth, I assume, on Aiden Hutchinson if there's a long-term deal. So it's weighing up those positives and negatives. If Dart does well, then we'll pick it up. But I'm not a fan of Shadur. I'm sorry. It's just not. He's not my type of guy. Same with Jalen Milrow. I was always Cam Ward QB1. Shadur, I didn't see the hype behind. Milrow, I think he's just like a good runner.
It'd be a damn good running back.
He is really good. But I think arm-wise, it just leaves a lot to be desired for me. Plus, as well, I think there's a couple of more pressing needs that can be addressed earlier, and then we can pick up a mid-round guy, for example. Calm Cord, Quinn Ewers, Riley Leonard, Will Howard as well in day 3. And then if they go well, fantastic, we get another year out of them. If they don't go well, okay, we'll go for next year and we get a premium quarterback in. Well, I say Nico, if he ever comes out of college. Arch Manning, DJ Lagway if he declares. So
questions, boys, for Brett?
I think we've got.
Sorry. I thought you'd finish, Brett. So I was throwing over to the boys.
No, I had finished. Sorry.
Apologies. Yeah. What do you think, boys? Browns.
Well, I know today it's also come out that supposedly you're shipping I think it's Newsom, and then Okonkwo, your
Ogbo.
edge. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
What would a team have to give up? Let's say, I don't know, a corner needy team. Let's say the Bills, for instance, because I know they're down the bottom. Then let's say Green Bay stink them and take Trey Amos, and the Bills are like, oh yeah, we like Greg Newsom. What would you want for you to be happy to move on from them? Because I know obviously Newsom's a former first round pick, is slated to start in a nickel for you. So unless you're planning to put in Hunter there, you probably still get some run out of him. I know Ogbo is probably going to be buried on your depth chart at edge now. So what would you
Yeah,
want
he's
to
behind.
get rid of him?
Ogbo's behind Isaiah Maguire and Joe Tryon Shoyinka. So
Mhm.
Newsom, I think it was a third and a fourth that I had earlier. In the last mock draft that I showed you guys.
Yeah.
I think it was a third, fourth, sixth, and a future fourth. But I think third and a fourth basis of the deal. Ogbo's a lot more like harder to gauge as well. There's a couple of less needy teams at edge. I mean, New England could be in for one, so maybe a buy low candidate with a 5th round pick. Yeah, I think third, fourth, fifth, around there. We're not going to get into early day 2s and first round picks with those two guys.
Yeah.
So I think early day 3, late day 2 would be nice.
So I know you've answered it probably in our Discord many a time now, but I've seen it's been asked in the chat here about Travis. Which side of the ball do you play him? Do you let him play both?
Ooh. See, the news that came out from Andrew Berry was that he wanted Travis Hunter and a corner, which makes me think that they're going to play him primarily as a wide receiver. If he thinks he can do it at both during camp, see what happens. I'll be for it. We'll see what happens. Primarily, I'd like to see it a wide receiver first, though, just because we've got Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and Michael Woods as starters. I think Hunter, not the best of the wideouts in this draft, but he's certainly in the top 3 for sure. But with Barry saying what he's saying, I think Browns will play him at wideout first, and I would also do the same.
Colin Wood asking as well whether you can see 4 quarterbacks in round 1. Sorry, Ant, I jumped in before you.
No, sorry, go on.
Do you think 4 quarterbacks, Brett, could go in round 1?
Sorry?
Do you think 4 quarterbacks could go in round 1? How likely is it?
Ooh, I think did they set the over-under at 2.5? That's what I was reading at a couple of betting sites. I think 3 could. 4's a lot, like a big push, especially if it's Ward at 1, Shadir goes to wherever. Dart, I think the 4th would have to be Milrow, if anyone takes him. So I'd say 3 would be a good number. 4 probably not for me.
So, in terms of obviously this draft's coming up, but what about the last class? Like, obviously you've not had your first round picks for a long time, and there were a lot of late picks last year. And I don't think many of them played that much. Obviously, I think it was Mike Hall. You got Zinter, although I think he was hurt when they drafted him. I know there's Jamari Thrash in there, guys like that. Did any of the late picks make it? Do you have any imminent hope for some of those guys going forward? Have you seen anything from them? Or you're not psyched about last year, given how little most of them played?
I'm just sorry, I'm picking up the class now. So we had Michael Hall, Zach Zinter, Jamari Thrash, probably our top 3 picks. The only person that I'm really excited about is probably Jamari Thrash to play this year, and even then, that could be he's probably going to be mired in the depth chart behind Cedric Tillman. I mean, you've also got David Bell and DeAndre Carter alongside him. Plus, if we draft a player as well, wide receiver again is a really pressing need. We need headlined guys there. Zinter, he's going to take a Vitella soon. I think Wyatt's getting a bit not long in the tooth, but obviously you've also got Joel Bitonio. He's only coming back for this year. From what I've read, I think this is going to be his final year in Cleveland and final year in pro football. So having that next generation of guards ready to go. I mean, Cleveland has had offensive line talent throughout the years. I think in 2020 we had probably one of our best lines with a rookie Jedrick Wills, Bitonio, Wyatt Teller was all pro that year, I believe, and then we had Jack Conklin as well.
Mhm.
I mean, we've also had Joe Thomas, who's announcing a pick tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Zins is probably going to be the best out of last year's crop. Paul probably won't start. I mean, we've got Malik Collins and Shelby Harris. And again, any other players that get drafted, I don't know if we'll go D-line early, though, interior. It leaves a lot to be desired, I'll say. I think a few people could do a better job, but Andrew Berry's the man in the building. We need some of your Brad Holmes magic, if you're willing to share.
Oh, we do
Please.
share. You got James Houston from us last year. You've picked up Junior Aquara. You seemingly love our injury-prone speed rushers.
I was going to say, yeah, Julian Aquara, what a guy. Yeah, thanks, mate.
I mean, if you trade back and take Ashton Jonty from the Bears, then maybe like that would make us quite happy. You might get some then. So it all depends on what they do with that first pick there. But I don't know. What do you think what is the percentage chance they go quarterback? Because no one's saying it now. Like no one is there still. Do you reckon there is still a chance it might happen at 2? Or is it no?
I think it's a nil to negligible chance. I mean, looking at the players there versus the next available, like best available quarterback prospect on everybody's board. I mean, Shadur against like Abdul Carter. I mean, if you remember how I was discussing about Abdul Carter with the Myles Garrett rumors flying about, he was going to be my pick at number 2 or a trade back with the Garrett stuff and pick Carter and someone else. Trying to think who else have we got on the big board. Hunter as well. Even like Mason Graham, Will Campbell, T-Mac, bigger needs than having Shadur at 2. I would rather take all those guys ahead of him.
I've got to say, I'm a little frustrated you're not taking Carter. Like, why have we overthought this so much? Even if people think Hunter is a slightly better prospect, and I don't, Carter's a better prospect. But like having those two on the same team and going, you know what? There are lots of really good wide receivers in round 2. We'll be fine. As opposed to let's take Travis, and then if we are going to take an edge in round 2, let's see what's there. Okay, well maybe it's Nick Skoughton, and that's fine. But if it was like Jaden Higgins and Abdul Carter, that's a slam dunk for me. I just kind of, with Travis Hunter, I see I don't want to say bust potential, but I think that he is a more boom or bust prospect. I don't know if you can buy the logic.
I can see where you're coming from, yeah. I think with what you're saying about Carter and Higgins, I've probably gone Carter and Elike Yemenor. So
yeah, but that would really
annoy
annoy
a lot of
me
people there. Yeah, I know. But I think having Garrett back minimizes the need because of how much he does on that defensive line. He takes a lot of pressure off the guys lining up alongside him, who will be Isaiah McGuire in this current depth chart. Having Carter on that side would have been a matchup nightmare, but I think, again, Garrett minimizes that need to a point where we now have the ability to move around and make other holes, like patch other holes up, if you get what I mean. So at corner, we've got Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, and at the minute, Greg Newsome, and not much behind in terms of talent. I mean, Chigozie Nuziem, Tony Brown II, McCann Mitchell doesn't scream like depth, really. So I think having Travis there or having Travis at the wide receiver position and then having the other cornerback would help us a lot in that regard versus having Carter and then that second round, third round corner or second round wide receiver, third round wide receiver, even though it is deeper.
Do you think factoring in Hunter's maybe impact on the culture as well might be why they're going this way, because like he plays two ways. He has played two ways in college. Like that takes an incredible amount of determination and grit to be able to do so. He is an incredibly hard worker who will play both sides of the ball to the highest level he can. Like us, the Lions, we built our foundation on incredibly tough working players who have reset the standard there. Do you think Hunter could be like the standard player in Cleveland that maybe they need a little bit, just that he's going to be the one that's like, right, you all are going to work as hard as I am, and maybe that's what they like about him?
100%. I think as well, what helps, and I don't think this is spoke about much, is the fact that he was coached by Dion. And obviously, Dion, the culture that he brought into Atlanta at the time he was drafted, he was like this big personality, amazing talent out of Tallahassee. And he goes and revitalizes the Falcons as one of the, and in the documentary, if you've ever seen it, from Secret Base, one of the rudest teams in the NFL, just with the sheer talent and pizzazz he displays, especially on like when he was playing corner, he locked down half the field. He did also try his hand at wide receiver sometimes. So having that guy in the building and being coached by one of the greatest corners of his generation, maybe of all time, will definitely like reset the culture in that building in terms of we need to stop losing and we need to work hard and be like him. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going.
So it's interesting. So whatever there's going to be the quarterback situation there and it is not resolved, it seems like, you're capped on as far as you can go as a team. What's the expectation for next year, regardless of what happens in the draft? Because I say, stuck in QB limbo. This is what, year 5 of Stefanski and Berry now? It's quite far into the tenure. They've been losing a lot. What Brown's expecting next year? Because I don't know if they can do a deep playoff run yet, but is it going to be enough for them in year 6, coming year 5, 6 coming up? I don't know.
I was going to say it's year 6 of Stefanski and Barry in Cleveland, but I think next year, in terms of, are you talking about wins or are you just talking about
Just
like as a year
what do you want to see
progresses?
as the team progresses? Like, what will be acceptable to Cleveland fans next year in terms of progress forward? Whether it be wins, how good the team looks, whatever.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd say about 6 or 7 wins. I know it's not like that might seem a bit optimistic from a Browns fan, and I know it might be biased, but I think 6 or 7 wins, depending on who plays at quarterback. I would like to just see progress from both sides of the ball in all facets. I mean, offensive line was dreadful last year. Defense outside Miles Garrett, the amount of open plays that like busted coverages from the secondary was phenomenal. I could not believe how many busted plays we had last year. They just walked in for touchdowns, opponents did, but running game was a bit flat as well. I mean, couldn't be helped by Nick Chubb and his injury from 2023, and then the second injury in 2024 with his foot injury that put him out for the rest of the year. Will he be back in Cleveland? Probably not. I think that's a bit late in the summer, late in the night now for him. But just progress from everybody, like a culture emerging, the young guys coming through to maybe replace the old guys. I mean, I was talking about Joel Bitonio, Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller as well. I think they're into their final years of their careers. So just progress, really. And like not stagnation as well.
We're coming.
You guys had it in.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No. You carry on.
I mean, you guys had it in. I don't want to bring up the dark times in Detroit, but you guys had it in the late 2010s where it just seemed like, okay, this could be the year, and then it just flopped, and then it flopped again, and then you just seem like, right, you're just looking at the calendar and it's like, when's the draft? When's the draft? When's next season? When's the draft? So I just want to see progress from the young guys, really, is the main takeaway.
We're coming towards the end of time, but I just want to turn our attention briefly to the rest of the draft and maybe your expectations. We did a bit of draft bets and hot takes yesterday. I don't know if you have any thoughts which are, a bit way out there, a bit galaxy-brained, or something that you think is going to happen that no one's talking about, anything that might be a fun way for you to sign off, potentially.
Ooh. I've got to go to the. I'm gonna go to the draft board for a minute. So, there's rumors that Ashton Genty would be a Patriot by the end of the night. Again, I don't see that, and I don't see the Jags taking Genty either. I've said, and I've maintained that I think he'll be an. I was about to say an Oakland Raider. Then that's a throwback. I think he'll be a Las Vegas Raider. I think Ant would disagree with that. This is. I don't think there's many like out there things to say. I think the most out there thing I'd say is probably Nick Skelton comes to the Browns at 33. It's probably the wildest one. I think if he's there on the board at the end of night one, that's your first pick of night two, I think. If not, if we move back in, fair play.
How far does Shedeur have to fall for you to get worried that the Browns will go back up?
Probably past Pittsburgh. I think they're picking 21st, aren't they?
Hmm.
I don't think he'll fall that far anyway, but if it goes past 21, I will start to worry slightly. I think unless another team trades back in beforehand, which I do see happening. I think New York, the Giants, I think will potentially trade back in, but not for a QB. I think Minnesota could trade out of that first round as well.
Yeah.
Just because of they've only got 4 picks this year, so they may want to accrue more stock for that. But yeah, I think maybe potential, even still, like maybe 2 or 3 running backs round one. Definitely 2. If that third one comes into round 1, I think Genty's top 10. I think we can all agree on that. Hampton, I think, is a Denver Bronco. And I would probably have to hasten a guess. Do you think someone would probably take Cam Scatterby?
No.
Potentially.
I mean, the rumours are that the media are much higher on him than the consensus. So the consensus on him is something like 70. I'm anticipating that he could be early day 3 rather than late day 2.
Yeah.
Or even late day 1. So
and the rumblings were that the Chiefs have really like Travion Henderson. So
Travion Henderson.
I mean, Henderson's been rumoured to go in the top 15. So
that was my other name as well, Travion Henderson. I spoke with a Chiefs fan yesterday, and they've said that they're taking, I think it's a 3rd meeting with Travion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Henderson at 31, I could definitely see. So yeah, I think 3 running backs in the first, I wouldn't be surprised at. But I think a lot of people could be.
Chiefs to draft a running back first is about 15-1, by the way. So if you're gonna,
is that actually?
Yeah,
it is.
Is that on
Yeah,
it's on Bet365. Yeah, we were looking through that yesterday.
15-1 if you want to put an outside shot on that.
And I mean, in terms of players that could go up there, I've heard rumours about Quinshon Judkins. I've heard rumours about Caleb Johnson, but he seems to have fallen a little bit since that first round buzz came out. But I think both Ohio State running backs could go. To be honest, it wouldn't be surprised surprise me if there were 4. I mean, it'd be a crazy draft if 4 running backs went in the first round, but it could happen.
I think if Judkins is there at 33 as well, I think we could maybe trade back into the early second, and take him. But who knows? A lot of the draft as well, it's based on runs as well in the past couple of years, based on trends. So if one goes, then the rest follow, especially after day 1.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're going to call time there, Brett. But is there anything you want to shout out before we let you go?
No, not yet. not today.
Cool.
It's in construction, I promise. We are coming back. So
I know that we've got some dead time with no guests come Saturday afternoon during day 3. So if you're at loose end, feel free to come on and just hang out for a while. But thank you for coming on, and thank you for being a part of the Discord and being a really active member of that, because it's been fantastic. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me, and thank you for tolerating my Brownsness in that. Have a good night as well, and I hope you get the pick that you want.
You too.
Even if it's 3 different people and 3 different players. All right.
Cheers, Brett.
Have a good night, chaps.
Cheers. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, we have had Brian Gaynor in the chat already saying, evening gents, hope you're doing well. Catch you shortly from us at UK Cowboys. He'll be coming on in about 10 minutes time. Boys, have there been any rumours or anything coming out in the last 20 minutes or so that we have not yet seen? Okay, so what I might do instead is I might look ahead to the rest of our draft coverage. So we have got an absolutely bumper day one for you guys coming up. We're going to be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's 11 p.m. UK time, going all the way through till 5 a.m. UK time, which is midnight Eastern time. We have got 7 fantastic guests for you, starting with Greg Kett, returning guest from the UK, representing the Tennessee Titans. We've then got Adam Armbrecht, who is a New York Giants fan. He is also the host of One Giant Podcast and the host of Locked On Nets. And Ash did point out to me that, of course, the Pistons are playing the Knicks, which means he's going to have a vested interest in rooting for the Pistons while we're on the air, which is going to be good fun. He'll be followed up by Neil, who's a returning guest from Arrowheads Abroad. That is the UK arm of the Kansas City Chiefs fan club. That will be at 1 a.m. UK time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern. 40 minutes later, at 8:40 Eastern, is Peo, returning guest Peo time. He's a YouTuber for the LA Rams. Fantastic value when he had him on last time, so really looking forward to that. Followed up by at 2 UK time, which is 9:20 p.m. Eastern, we have got Nick, who's a San Francisco 49er fan, part of the 49er Faithful UK. Then 3 a.m., 10 p.m. Eastern, we've got Maurice Hawkins Jr. from the DC Tweet team, another returning guest. The last time he joined us during the draft, he was at the Washington Commanders draft party at their stadium, which is where he joined us from last time. I don't know if we're doing the same again. And they picked
for time times. We could hear the live reaction and the
was that Jamin Davis?
Outrage? No, it was Jahan Dotson.
Oh yeah, fun. And then we've got a little break before our final guest, who is a time TBC, to be honest, it depends. But it's Dave from the Panther Nation podcast representing the Carolina Panthers. That's at 11:20 Eastern time. That's 4:20 in the morning. So we've got an absolutely bumper slate, and that's going to continue all the way through the draft. We've got a day one recap show at 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. No guests on that show, but then day 2 live stream starts half an hour earlier than today's, so that's going to be at 5:30 p.m. Eastern for tomorrow, with some more amazing guests, and then obviously similar for Saturday, and then a recap of everything that happened on Sunday too. So if you want draft coverage, we are here, but we need your help to do it. Of course, it's a long old slog, so your questions are really key. We've got some fun graphics to throw to. We've done a lot of research for this. So let's demonstrate. Brent said, awesome guest, please have him on again. So that's good. Thanks, Brent. Yes, so let's have a look at some of the graphics I've put up.
Put up Will Campbell, because it's come out. You jinxed it by saying, because there been any rumours, it's come out. Jeremy Fowler tweeted that 2 minutes ago. The Patriots have had Will Campbell in again for another visit. It seemingly is leaning that way. They're picking him at number 4 overall.
No, that's why I've got to bet on Abdul Carter going. I wonder if Carter did fall to 4 as well, that they'd still take Campbell. I suspect that they would. But...
You've got to protect your quarterback.
Yeah, protect Drake, please. QB1.
I mean, come on. Do you not like the meme where Drake May gets off on the pain? Have you not seen that?
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Really
have you seen the animation today where it's we need to, like, the Patriots first time they have a franchise QB, and it's just to go to Bill Belichick. No, don't take him. There's a long snapper from Holy Cross. No.
Sounds like me.
I totally did not have my ranking of all 32 long snappers up ready to, in case there was a lot. I was like, oh, well, I rated Rex and Hara as my number 15 long snapper. Do you think you could maybe take one late day free to upgrade? Which reminds me, let's check where the Cowboys one is.
Brent DeWitt and in the chat says, Ant, did you see my update on Cole Sullivan?
I did, yeah. He's looking like he's going to be a beast for Michigan next year. So yeah, don't worry. We are keeping an eye on him for sure. It's one of my favorite positions as well. So, but they've done really well. I love the running back they've got out of Princeton. I think he's going to be an absolute monster on that team next year, depending on where he fits in the depth chart. But they've brought in some good portal players this year, Michigan. I'm not going to lie, they've done pretty well.
I really don't know what's going to happen with this draft, guys. I feel all at sea with this. Like, okay, fine. We've got pick 1, and it looks like we've got picks 2, 3, and 4 locked in, unless Jacksonville want to screw it up. So we're looking at Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, and Jacksonville the first domino.
I mean, it depends what teams trade. 2 and 3 are open for trade, so there isn't. Well, it depends with teams and that, but it's better, I think. I mean, there have been some drafts some years like, yeah, you get to like pick 10, 11, you're like, yeah. So, like, the unpredictability, it's fun to have one unpredictable year, as long as it goes back to normal next year. I don't mind. I like chaos. We like the anarchy of it, and who knows? I have a feeling there's going to be a really big jump up at some point today as well, because I don't think the price is going to be that high. Philly have been rumored to a big leap up. You know, there's some teams also in the 20s who've been rumored to leap up big as well. So you never know. You might see someone jump all the way into the top 10.
Yeah. Well, speaking about top 10, I was about to bring up someone who I'm keeping my eye out for prior to UDFA range, and that's defensive tackle Dante Barnett, who is one of the IPP players. Guess where he grew up?
Nottingham.
No, the other one.
Birmingham.
Birmingham, yeah.
Birmingham.
He's in Green Bay. He's in Green Bay, so we could have a Travis Clayton situation like last year where the Bills took him and he got to come on stage and hold the shirt. He's this year's one for the IPP, according to the NFL UK accounts.
Where else are some really big inflection points where people just don't know where they're going to go? So let's say Chicago doesn't move and Genty goes. What then? What? Because I kind of think the best case scenario for the Bears is that Genty gets drafted before they've got a chance, and then they just have to pick their next guy on the board. Because realistically, in terms of a roster building process, that's probably going to be a better pick.
Shamar Stibert.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take it back then. You don't think they would go left tackle?
Depends who's there, because Campbell supposed to now going to be locked into 4. So there's one. Membu could play there, but I think in the league he's a better fit at right tackle. The reason I say Stewart, though, is one of Stewart's sort of comps in terms of the measurables in his play style is Montez Sweat.
If you're looking at that range, you've got to watch out for San Francisco today as well. They need studs in their trenches. They're old. They're getting old. They've got no defensive tackles. They've got no edge outside of Bosa worth really a damn, like at an elite level. You know, your left tackle's 36. He's getting old. You know, especially if someone, and this is why I did it on my mock, if someone goes to 4 or 5 for Genty and the likes of Mason Graham start to fall, I think you will see. Or if Will Campbell potentially falls, I don't know. Do you put him at, you can put him at left guard for a year if you don't like, and then move him across into, Trent's position when he's done. But I think you really have to, because San Francisco have got to make a splash now. Like, those trenches are not what they used to be. They are eminently beatable now. And yes, you can get someone serviceable at 12, but you can get you put Mason Graham on that line, they suddenly become a lot more dangerous. Mason Graham might well be a 49er by the end of the day, and I'm pretty confident on that if someone goes for Jonty. Or if the Jags go for Jonty and stick there, then they'll still come up anyhow. Yeah. So I think the Raiders will panic if Jonty's gone, and they'll trade out.
Got 2 questions here I want to try and quickly get in before our Cowboys guest. Brent asks, how many first-round trades do you think? He says, I'm thinking about 8 to 10, which I think is a crazy amount of trades. That would be 16 to 20 teams involved in trades, which just feels a bit too much for me. I think Ant might have been on the money with his draft with 4 or 5.
He had 5.
I think 5 sounds like a good number, especially if you get like the token ones at the end of the draft, which just get thrown in for like 31 and 32.
Yeah,
it depends what happens with 4. Because there's going to be a domino effect. Like I say, if Jonty goes early, that'll domino effect down. But then it's all a case of, because it's people going to be wanting their own players. If there's a run on positions, like generally, as I said, when there's a run, there's trades because people panic and come up for them. And then you'll get towards the end of the first round where potentially a lot of people will want 5th years on quarterback, stuff like that. I don't think it's out of this world unrealistic that there could be something like 7 or 8 trades here. It just depends. If there's like 2 in that top 10, then the floor's open for 8 because there will be a lot later on. So that's where it all sticks regards to that. But I think minimum 5.
So last year, I'm trying to count it up. I think there was 6 because obviously there was technically the trade for first overall. Then you had Minnesota and Jets trading 10 and 11 to each other. Then you had Jacksonville trading 17 to Minnesota. 23 moved from Cleveland to Houston to Minnesota to Jacksonville. So that's another what I said. That's the same one. We obviously traded up for Terrion with Dallas. Houston traded with Arizona for Arizona to come up to get what's his name? Darius Robinson. And then Buffalo did theirs where they traded back twice. Once with Kansas City, then again with Carolina, where Kansas City came up for Xavier Worthy and Carolina came up for Xavier Legette.
Well, there was a piece by Kevin Patra this time last week about the average amount of draft day trades involving first round picks. The average is 5.5. So 5 wouldn't even be remarkable. So that's just the norm.
Right between me and Nance. The 2 who were called trade whores when we did our first round mocks.
Yeah.
I mean, the kicker is there's been no pre-draft trades this year. Like, none. Yeah. Nothing. Squat.
This has been the closest to the draft that there's not been a trade versus first round pick in the since
draft
the
era.
I think as it stands, this still figures to be the first time in the common draft era that everybody's used a first round pick because everybody has one at the minute. No one's traded theirs away. So if there's inter-round trades and no trades out the first round, then this will be the first time ever that everybody will get a first rounder, which is also interesting. I'd love to see the odds on that. Like, I'd take an outside swing at that.
The odds of there being no first round trades I saw on Bet365 were woefully underpriced. I think it was 15 to 1.
No trades that every single team uses their first round pick. You can still have trades, but every team still uses a first rounder. I reckon that if they were long enough, which they should be, because the odds of it happening are very low, then they should probably go for it.
One more question, which was Carlton Wood asking, did you guys see reports the Jets are trying to trade running back Breece Hall? What effect on the draft? For me, no effect on draft, really. I'm thinking mid-day 3 pick, early day 3 pick.
I know the exact trade to look for person to... who else traded a running back a couple of years ago during the draft?
Well, that would have been DeAndre Swift. Is that what you're talking about? But Breece Hall isn't as washed as DeAndre Swift was at the time, and we weren't as desperate to trade him. But it was a...
Yeah, but we got a 4th for him. And
2 years later, though...
It was a 2025 4th round pick and then a swap of 7th rounders.
In fact, 130 this year is the pick from DeAndre, isn't it? So
so we can use it for Breece Hall.
So the reason saying that is because you can use that as a building block. So let's say it could be a 4th this year, so instead of the 2 years one, because I know people shouldn't, most teams actually don't do this, but I know obviously there's the whole thing that every year you go forward with a pick, it loses around a value. So that 4th round pick now would have been then worth a 6th rounder in common thought. So you build off there. So Breece Hall could be a 4th this year and then that swap of 7ths as well.
The only way I think it might affect anything is if they executed that pre-draft and then they suddenly put themselves in the Jonty stakes. I would feel like that wouldn't be Glenn's modus operandi to waste picks going up to get him. But I think that's the only way it might influence something. Or hell, what if the Raiders took it off them? Like the Raiders traded for Breece Hall, and then because the Raiders have like 12 picks in this draft, they've got a lot of capital. Because then the Raiders could start shopping their pick if they don't want to move.
8, 9. Raiders have got 9, so they could easily do say 180, and then they swap 222 for. Actually, no. So the last pick the Jets have is 207.
So they've got 108, 143, 180. You've got a good variation of picks Vegas could use there. And that could be good for Vegas. Get Breece Hall, draft Armand Membo. Perfect draft for them. That it could have some form of an instability effect on it. But I'm surprised, I said earlier, I'm surprised that none of the player trades have been executed yet. Because there are a lot of players on the shop at the moment, and draft people will want those picks because even if you get a second round pick and you're not using it today, you can still use that pick today to trade up into the first round again. So
I think why that hasn't happened is because there's that logjam of between, like, let's say pick 10 and pick 60, where a lot of teams will have those players ranked very similarly in different orders, etc., etc. That it's kind of like what the theory was with the Browns, with the Myles Garrett rumors, was that teams are now preferring picks for next year because they see that next year's class might have a bit more top end talent and that, so they're actually preferring future picks to current picks because of how this draft class is. Which I don't get, because
thing is, it's never a sure thing. It's like people saying the QB situation is just as murky next year as it is this year. It could be even worse. So it's like, I don't know. It's I don't get it either. Like, because obviously there's the whole stuff that we've spoke to Miami about Jalen Ramsey. Even as an FSU homer, hell no, please no. No, but then you've got a ton of people on the trade block potentially at the minute. Teams said, "Yeah, we're shopping you," and it's like it's just you would expect to see at least one of those done before pick swap trades with the first and that, which is why just everything's quiet. That's why you feel like it's going to explode. Like one will happen, and then it'll just go nuts.
So what you're saying is you're crossing your fingers and hoping for the JMO trade in the next couple of minutes.
Excuse me.
You knew how to push his buttons, but you didn't have to do it, did you? Now look what you've done.
I'd like to think the rest of you would be pissed off if we traded him as well.
I'd be absolutely fuming.
100%. You're saying you're looking for it, and I was like, well, here's the perfect chance.
Well, I mean, clipping a grown man crying is not going to be good TikTok content. So, like...
that'll be perfect content. That, a bit of the sad violin song, the sad hamster.
You don't make content off my pain. I'm sorry, I'm not having that.
That definitely has happened before. I'm not going to lie.
It has.
Speaking of, I've got another drinking game this year, which would be fun. So, you might see me get razzed again like we did on day 3.
Oh, should I get my apple sour some downstairs?
Yes. So, for everyone who didn't watch the show 2 years ago in 2023, Ant had a subscriptions for shots promotion to the point where... So the show was going to end at midnight UK time on day 3. And then, Ant, you got to about 10:30 and you were like, I have to leave. I can't take it anymore.
And you know what? Then I found out a group of my friends were using their Amazon Prime subs because some of them watch it and they'd all gotten together in cahoots and started using them. So I got absolutely wasted.
Oh,
I've done a more sensible one this year, I think, but we'll get to it later.
I think I might actually put, because you can put goals in YouTube Super Chats, I think I will put on a goal where I take a shot every so many.
So what I'm going to do, the prospects that I love, I'm going to tier the prospects that I love. There's going to be 5-shot prospects, 4-shot prospects. If the Lions draft one of them, then I will drink the amount of requisite shots with it. So if they draft one of my favourite players in the draft, full time, that'll be 5. And then it'll work down.
You need to send me the framework for that. I will happily join you on that. Ashton July.
Yeah.
This is going to be peak telly, but awful for the show.
Well, how I've done it is like I've got like a day one guy. I've got like a 5-star day one, day two, day three, 4-star day one, and then done it like that. So there's a possibility of one every day.
Send me the throwback. I'll join you on that.
Yeah, we'll do
agreement.
that. We'll do that.
Right, let's get off this and onto a returning guest, Brian Gaynor from the UK Cowboys Fans podcast. Brian, how you doing?
All good, gents. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Just talking about how debauched Saturday is going to be.
I think you've got to do a shot every time there's a trade.
I will die. I will die.
Oh, that's a good plan. I like it. The NFL draft drinking game would be the worst because you can just come up with so many easy things. There was one I saw yesterday, which was for, I think it's ESPN in particular. They have a habit of, in a player bio, saying whether there's been like a death in the family or a major illness a recovering alcoholic or in the family or something like that. And it's like every time you see like a really bad comment in a player bio, you have to take a drink. You get so smashed.
And I've seen the one where it's for every time the coverage cuts to Ian Rappaport saying, "Oh yeah, this team's just done is doing homework on this player," to cover up the fact that the pick spit leaks and it's them. You do a shot.
You think Ian Rappaport isn't quite as good as he appears to be? That's absolutely terrible, Ash, and I think you should take it back. That's a disgrace. Anyway, Brian, moving on. UK Cowboys fans, I was talking about you guys before and the show and how close of a relationship you have with the Cowboys. Just if people haven't watched your show or they're watching us for the first time as well, just talk to us about you guys, because I think you're probably, from what we've talked to anyway, maybe the most successful UK podcast for a team in terms of the relationship you have with the team.
Well, I wouldn't have thought we were, but I mean, I'm just thinking back to, we did a 24-hour draft show. I think it was 2021, and we managed to get Stephen Jones on that one. And then the following year, we managed to get Will McClay on, and that was me chancing my arm. I just kind of, I knew the guys on the Dallas Cowboys media team. We have a great relationship with them. And I kind of said, I wonder if I have their email address. Could I work Stephen's email address? So I did. And Stephen walked down the hall to head of media. He said, "Hey, who's this guy, Brian? Do you know?" "Yeah, I do. I know Brian. He's with the UK Cowboys. Is he okay? Can I talk to him?" "Yeah, you can absolutely talk to Brian." And that's how we got Stephen Jones to chat to us on the first day of the draft.
That's nuts that you had the time to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked.
Yeah. And I mean, like, obviously, look, there were certain questions were off limits, but it was really great. We'd said, look, can you give us 5-10 minutes? I think Stephen stayed with us for about 25 minutes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Giving of his time. Let's talk about more recent times for you guys. How's the show going at the moment?
The show it's going as strong as ever. We're still doing Tuesday, Thursday night shows. We'll start winding down on Tuesday nights now after the draft. We might do one or two more just in the off season, and the Thursday night show will keep going in place. But it's great. Numbers are up. We were just about to finish our show on Tuesday night, and Voch Lombardi, who's one of the main draft guys for the Cowboys, and he's working on the internal channel for it, sent a load of guys over. So instead of finishing just about 20 past 10, I finished at 20 past 12 doing the podcast.
Wow.
And Voch ended up joining us as well. So we it's great. Things like that are really, really good, that because we know some of the media guys, they'll talk to guys like yourselves, guys in the US who'd be fellow content creators or whatever like that. They'd reach out to us, and just having great relationships like that, it's really, really good.
Fantastic. I'm quite jealous with the relationship you have with the team media guys, especially. Let's talk more about the Cowboys. Compared to more recent times where you've had a very good regular season record and failed in the playoffs, this year it was a bit more abrupt with the quarterback going down for the year.
Yeah.
What's, how do you feel now looking back on that? Was it sort of like a done thing, and Cooper Rush has moved on despite the good work that he put in, and how do you feel about the in-division stuff now? It looks like the Eagles, are ascending, and the Commanders obviously did terrific. It feels like a very different point for the Cowboys than it was maybe even 2 years ago, where it was like a two-horse race, but you were quietly confident it was going to be you guys. And now it feels like you're in a battle with the Commanders, maybe for second place, if you're lucky. I don't know, but that Eagles team's incredible.
See, this is the thing. No team has retained the NFC East for something approaching 20 years. And the team that does that it's going to be a surprise, because even, as I say, that team from Pennsylvania, who I dare not name, they won the Super Bowl in 2017, didn't retain the NFC East, so it's a dog-eat-dog division. I mean, you can automatically discount the Giants. They draft terribly every year. Whether they take Shedeur Sanders this year, I don't know. And you're going to write them off. The Commanders, are they going to have as good a year this year, given that their strength of schedule last year was awful because they were one of the bottom teams? So you're just going, okay, can they match it again? The Cowboys are going to have, hopefully, touch wood, Dak Prescott for a full season. So that should automatically generate 2, 3, 4 more wins. And suddenly you're going, okay, so we were 5-12. And you suddenly bump that up, close to, 10 wins, 11 wins. And then you're right back in the playoff picture.
Yeah, definitely. It could happen. Sorry, Anne.
No, I was supposed to say, maybe the win column didn't do justice on there, but in terms of the team development, obviously, we're about to go into the draft, but we did some business in the draft last year, us and the Cowboys. You took our 29, but with that pick and with the pick you got off us, your 2 new starting offensive linemen there. So obviously Tyler Guyton at the left, I think they played him, and then obviously Cooper Beebe at center.
Yeah.
How did those guys do in their rookie years? Given that they played a lot, you feel like more comfortable? Do you think they're going to bed in quite well? How did you feel that the trade with us worked for you in the end?
It worked very well, because when we were doing our pre-draft analysis last year and when we did our postseason shows, we were kind of saying, okay, Beebe is the guy that we're thinking is going to be solid this year. Guyton, because he'd only played 9 or 10 games at right tackle at another school I'm not going to talk about, we didn't know what he was going to be. And we're still now this offseason saying, right, the Cowboys could be in the mix to take a left tackle because Membu is there, Will Campbell is there. Will we take one of those guys if they fall? And then you're going, well, what are we going to do then with Guyton? Are we going to write him off? And probably not, because what we could end up doing is going, right, Tyler, you've played right tackle. Let's put you back over there. We can designate Terrence Steele as a post-June 1 cut after the draft. And we're still relatively okay, because we have 5 guys who can play. Now, obviously, Zach Martin is another issue. But you have guys there who can play, and there's no point in going, right, before the draft, we're gonna cut Terrence Steele post-draft, because it just tips your hand and teams know what you're doing. So they've covered themselves enough. They've brought in enough guys, like obviously they brought in Sadiq Charles, and have 4 or 5 more linemen there. Rob Jones was the guy they brought in from Miami. So they're covered, and they're able to attack the draft and kind of go, right, who's the best player available on our board? If it's an offensive lineman, if it's a wide receiver, if it's a running back, if it's a cornerback, because that's a huge need for the Dallas Cowboys as well. We're able to go, right, we don't need to draft for need. We can draft best player available.
The class got a lot of time last year because Leofau was a starter, wasn't he, I believe?
Yeah.
Nealand played quite a bit. Do you feel good about that class after a year, given how much it played?
We'll give it another year, because look, obviously Guyton is your primary pick and you hope that he will develop. Nealand, as you say, started okay and then got injured and missed the rest of the time. Leofau had to come in and did well in spots. Not good, not great. So there's time there, but kind of looking back, the Cowboys have probably had 2 not so great draft classes. So we need to hit big on this draft class, because there's a lot of holes, and like I'm sure you guys can see that yourselves from, you know, kind of what the needs are for us on the board.
So in terms of needs, your starters at the moment are going to be Javonte Williams at running back, Jalen Tolbert at wide receiver after Lamb. There's Dante Fowler at edge. Was there one other spot that I picked out in particular? I mean, maybe linebacker is a potential issue with Overshown, maybe still hurting with injury. And Jack Sanborn we know a lot about and love, but you still brought him in to be a starter, which is an interesting move. What's the biggest need you have, in your opinion?
The biggest need for us is, I kind of tipped it already. It's that hole at right guard. You don't replace a guy of Zach Martin's quality easily, and you don't fill the leadership void that he is going to have left behind him. You know, I've kind of heard today, I know you guys were talking about what are the breaking stories, what are the rumors, and I've heard that the Cowboys are looking at offensive line because they're lacking leadership in that room, because Terrence Steele, they might cut. Your next most experienced guy is Tyler Smith, who's going into starting season 3 or 4. I always get that wrong. I think it's his 4th season that he's going into. So yeah, you know, everyone else, it's a rookie, someone who's unproven, or someone who has a question mark. And you know, if a Membu falls, if Campbell falls, they might even turn around and go, Kelvin Banks Jr., listen, we've a huge hole. We don't think you're going to be an NFL tackle, but we think you have every ability to play a guard for us.
That makes sense, because obviously I know, kind of looking at your coaching changes with Schottenheimer becoming the head coach, going from OC, you brought in Carolina's Cardinals offensive line coach as your sort of OC. So that would track. So I know you've mentioned some of the guys there who could fall, that are projected tackles into guards. What if, I know obviously Tyler Booker, who is Alabama's right guard, he didn't test the best athletically, but he is seen by a lot, including quite a lot of Detroit beat writers, as the best pure guard in this draft class. Would you be happy with him as a plug and play, just slot him in at that right guard spot, keep everyone else where they are? Or are you looking for someone that does have that sort of positional versatility that can cover right guard, and then if you do cut Terrence Steele or Tyler Guyton gets hurt, then you can move them out to play a tackle spot?
So for me personally, I don't have an issue with Booker. There are some within our team that do have huge issues with Tyler Booker, and a lot of that, as you say, is based off testing. But for me, testing is only giving you a certain amount of the picture. You put on the game tape of Tyler Booker, you see him dominating guys, you see him pushing guys down the field, you see him, you know, that term, pancaking guys, and he's pushing guys to the floor, he's following them down, that mean, nasty streak. I was watching Good Morning Football this morning, and they'd Kalen DeBoer on, and as he said, you know, like, Tyler is one of our biggest leaders in the room. You know, and that goes back to what I was saying to you about the missing leadership in that offensive line room. So personally, I would not have an issue with it at all if Tyler Booker was the pick.
You've mentioned obviously the lack of leadership in the offensive line room. Is this maybe a team-wide thing as well? Maybe not just there, because obviously it was well documented the struggles they had at home last year. They're struggling at home. I mean, you know, don't want to kind of bring it up for you again, but we came in there and, you know,
Whipped
quite
their
frankly,
asses.
and you know, with all due respect, we've not done that much in the past. Generally, when AT&T appears on our schedule, we're like, oh God, we're in for a hell of a game here. But it seems almost a psychological thing as well. There's no one there who is taking up that mantle of leadership. Do they need to look at something different in the draft prospects? So obviously, we've got our core, our Penes, our Amon-Ra's, our Hutch, who've redefined our culture and standard. Do they maybe need to look a bit towards that as well, rather than just having talented players on there? They've got to get the mindset in as well.
Yeah. No, you're 100% in what you're saying there, Anthony. Like, I mean, everyone will look at the Dallas Cowboys and go, Dak Prescott's your leader. Micah Parsons is your leader. I still have huge question marks around Micah Parsons personally. I'm not sure if the guy wants to be a podcast guy or he wants to be a footballer. Huge concerns. This is why I think the whole thing with his contract is dragging because the Cowboys are not sure whether he's in love. And what another one of these rumors that I've heard in the past, say 36, 48 hours is a lot of teams, I know this is Jay Glazer has been saying this, is that teams are now putting up a flag. Does the guy actually love football? And that would feed into your whole thing about leadership because these guys have now started making money in college. And, you know, we saw that whole thing with Nico Imaleva going out to UCLA, you know, wanting $7 million a year. So these guys have money in their back pocket. So do they actually love football? Do they have that quality within them? I know in the last couple of years, we tried to pick character guys that have shown leadership, that they're multi-dimensional, you know, that we've tried to pick up a lot of guys who've wrestling backgrounds or have done a different sport, you know, that they can bring different techniques into the game with them. But obviously with Brian Schottenheimer becoming the head coach, he's going to have to set a standard. And maybe he needs to pick one or two guys and go, this is going to be my standard bearer. He looks at Tyler Smith and goes, that guy's close to an all-pro. I want him to be a talent or a leader on this team. I want my new guy coming in to be a leader and say, you know, rather than this whole narrative of Schottenheimer's here for a year or two and we're going to tank and we're going to draft Arch Manning in 2025, ain't happening. Arch Manning's not coming out till 2026 anyway. But, you know, it's set a new standard for the Cowboys because, you know, as great as Mike McCarthy was, we were one of the most penalised teams in the 5 years Mike McCarthy had us. And that's on your head coaching, your coordinators. So we need to set a new standard and go from there.
So building off that, then I know a popular pick for you guys is Ted McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, who he himself said he's getting one of those red flags. He doesn't love football. He infamously came out and said, I don't watch tape. He has Jamarcus Russell tweeted to him. Do you think that like it would probably turn the lines off him with our sort of need for that kind of thing where you need to love football? Would that then, so that him not sort of loving football, would that then take him off your guys' draft board? Or is it a case of we really need a receiver outside with CD Lamb? He's just that good of a talent that we can overlook that red flag because he'll just be such an upgrade for us. Or do you think with the new regime with Schottenheimer and that they will start prioritizing the culture fit to maybe look elsewhere, maybe get rid of this? Well, the Dallas Cowboys don't mind players with red flags. So obviously taking Sam Williams a couple of years ago in the second round with all his red flags. Yeah. Basically, is it now you've got a red flag we don't like anymore? So Ted McMillan or Mike Green and James Pierce, the edge rushers, who again would fill a need, but because they've got these character issues hanging around them in the elevation, are they pushing down the Cowboys draft boards now because of those?
So the thing with Ted McMillan is the Cowboys have done, and this is something I always do each year with the Cowboys. When did they talk to players and how often did they talk to players? So they spoke to Ted McMillan at the Senior Bowl. They spoke to him at the Combine. They've brought him in for 30 days. I think they also went out to his pro day. Now that also could be feeding into. They also have a lot of interest in Jonah Savaina, the guard from Arizona, who could be a later round pick that they're looking at. So they've done their due diligence. They're going to know the answers to those questions. The fact that an awful lot of people are talking about Matthew Golden, even if McMillan is there, is the thing to watch out for tonight. And I'm not saying they're going to pick Matthew Golden either. But as a Texas Longhorns fan, I saw Matthew Golden explode in the last 4 or 5 games of our season. In the SEC Championship when it mattered, in the college football games when it mattered, the ball went to Matthew Golden. You know, and has Ted McMillan played at that level yet? You know, Arizona's schedule is not as good as Texas' schedule in the SEC or any of the other receivers in the SEC. So Luther Burden is falling a lot. Don't know why, but he's played SEC football for multiple years and has great numbers. You know, so maybe that's why they brought him in. And again, Golden has had all of those Senior Bowl Combine 30-day visits. They've done all that. So they've done a lot of work on wide receivers. And I think like that, they should have they should be moving away from the Carter guys. And as you say, maybe they're taken off the board already.
Well, please do take Matthew Golden, because then we don't know if you heard with the Detroit, because we brought Matthew Golden in for a top 30 visit. Everyone's suddenly panicking. We haven't extended JMO. We're going to trade him and draft Matthew Golden. So please take Matthew Golden off the board so we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, that would be nice. Brian, who's your top 3 picks that you're happy with at 12?
For me, if Campbell falls, I'm throwing a pizza party, and I'm celebrating if he's available at 12. Ted McMillan, ultimately, yeah, I would take him in a heartbeat. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my board up here as well. The other one I'm going to do is you're going to see Abdul Carter over a bong before 1 o'clock tonight.
Sorry, come again.
Oh, I get it. He's saying that Abdul Carter's going to do the Larry Tunsil face gas mask bomb thing and drop to the Cowboys.
For sake, no, please. The idea of Carter with Parsons terrifies me.
Yeah.
In unison, everyone all together.
It's not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen. I mean, I suppose Ted McMillan, Will Campbell, they'd be the 2 guys. Vermin Membu is there as well. Any of those 3 guys I'd be happy with. And as much as I love Matthew Golden, I wouldn't be as happy if they passed over Ted McMillan to get him. But the one storyline to watch out for tonight is if Shedeur Sanders is there at 12. You're going to see Jerry with extremely itchy fingers.
Really?
Even
Really?
with your trade for Joe Milton?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Ash.
Come on.
You troll.
Well, it is what Jerry would do, wouldn't it? It would be... Because, I mean, the other rumour was that they're one of the 3 teams that Jonty's visited. Is there a world you see them actually trying to get involved in that game, or would he have to fall so far, or...
I think that's all part of the smoke and mirrors, because they did their pre-draft press conference on Tuesday afternoon our time, and there was, we might trade up if the right guy falls, or we might trade back if we get wiped out. And it's the lying season, and we've kind of spoken about some of the rumors that are circulating. I'm sure everyone has heard that the Shedeur Sanders is the guy really in love with football. He's the worst interview I've had, and these kinds of things. It's teams just kind of trying to put a seed of doubt in another team's mind, So for me, it's go back to the tape. How have you stacked your board and draft accordingly? I don't think Genty gets near us. I don't have him ranked as a first round grade personally, because there's just that 1 year of production out of Boise State. And again, who's on Boise State's schedule? When he played Penn State in the playoffs, wasn't that great?
All right, but sorry, Ant.
So I was just about to say, well, sort of, obviously, the hires they've made there. Obviously, you've got a close friend of ours on that staff now. Matt Eberflus is back on that defense.
Yeah,
and he's very much known for his ability to stop the run on there. I know Clayton Adams, the new OC, he's been a long-term offensive line tight end coach. Did you expect them to draft along the lines? Because those sort of hires feel like they're really going to go after the trenches and the ground game and try and redefine the way they play. Do you get that vibe? That's what they're going to try and be next year? Because, with Dak all the time, it's let Dak lob it for 400 yards a game and stat pad in fantasy. Apart from when I draft him and he gets hurt. But do you see like the picks influencing the way they go forward as more of that ground-heavy team that they want to be?
I think you're right in that assumption, because we heard for years McCarthy saying, we want to throw the ball to open up the run. And you're like, what does he even mean by that? I mean, you guys watch McCarthy enough in your time. And McCarthy just never seemed to get it right. And the fact that for, this, and it predates Mike McCarthy, the teams know to run on us. You guys did it repeatedly at AT&T. You did it to us at AT&T last year in the game that was an absolute steal from you guys. And you weren't the first team to come in and do that to us this year. And you weren't, I can remember as far back as CJ Anderson going for nearly 200 yards in a playoff game for the Rams against us. So yes, we need big bodies in the middle. And if a Mason Graham falls, and as much as we despise Michigan picks in Dallas because we've had Taco Charlton, we've had Luke Schoonmaker and Mazzy Smith in recent years who haven't really worked out. Mason Graham's a different kind of player and has different ability. And if he landed at 12, I don't think he will, because again, and I know you guys said this earlier, he's more likely to go to the 49ers. He'd be a great addition because it would help you solve one of those problems.
We're coming to the end of our time, Brian, but I don't know if you have any hot takes you want to end on with, and then let us know where we can find you guys.
Just very quickly before he does, just very quickly, I'll just say, what are you expecting next year? Like, the Commanders are rising, the Eagles are up there. What's acceptable in year one of Shotty? Is it just seeing the team gain a bit of stability, or is it like, well, we've got to win now because you've still got Dak there, that contract's coming up?
Yeah.
I mean, what's
like, there's huge contracts. You've Dak, you've CD. If Micah gets done after the draft, that needs sorting. Tyler Smith needs sorting. Jake Ferguson needs sorting. Deron Bland needs sorting. So the Cowboys have to decide post-draft. Are they, Jerry used the term last year, we're all in. Are they actually going to be all in and try and win? Because, there's still plenty of good, solid free agents out there you could pick up post-draft to add to the team. So I can't actually answer the question because I don't know what they're thinking. Personally, I'd love to see us get back into the playoffs. If you can get 11, 12 wins this season, I think it'll be huge for the Cowboys. If you can split the games with that team in Pennsylvania, if you can split the games with the Commanders, that'd be great. And then go from there. We should have a slightly easier schedule this year due to how we finished the season. So there's probably 2 games there. And as I said earlier, if Dak is available for the whole season, you should be picking up at least 2 to 3 more wins on that alone.
All right, what are you thinking that no one else is?
Shedeur Sanders is the 5th quarterback drafted.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
as a Charlotte Shock homer, I love it.
Yeah, when I was doing my board, I was like, where do I put him? So I haven't ranked as my 4th quarterback, but I considered dropping him further than that. I considered putting him down to 6 or 7. I really did. I just couldn't find the right spot for him at all.
So who's 2?
So 2, I have Jackson Dart.
Okay.
3 of Quinn Ewers.
Oh, that's going to make Ant happy.
Everybody is sleeping on Quinn Ewers. 4, I had Shedeur, and then 5, I had Milroe. But I really couldn't split between Milroe, Shedeur, and, as Ash is saying, Tyler Shough. I've heard the rumor Shough might be the number 1 quarterback in this class from a lot of people.
God, that's ending with a bang. Brian, where can we find you guys?
You can grab us all at UK Cowboys fans. That's pretty much our handle across Twitter, Instagram, our Facebook group, and our YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for donating your time once again. It's great to talk to you. Good luck. And we'll see you probably next season at some point. Cheers, Brian.
We will. Take it easy, guys.
Cheers. All right, boys. Slightly overrun, so I just want to throw it to you guys for some final thoughts before we sign off, and then we'll be back in a little under 2.5 hours for the start of our coverage of day 1.
Wow. Considering while we're doing the interview, obviously more rumors come out, and some of them are like, wow, like some teams don't even have Tyler Bowen as their tight end 2. Mason Taylor is getting some tight end 1 buzz and 1st round buzz. So is Jared Wilson, the Georgia center, is getting some 1st round buzz.
I can buy that. That's been happening for a while now. I can buy that potentially. I don't know who though. I've been looking at the top. I've been looking at the back end of that first round. I'm not sure who's in desperate need of a centre right now that would do that. But
And then there's
What-
one last one that I've seen. Walter Nolan is getting some top 6 hype.
Yeah, I've heard that he might go to the Raiders.
I think and I think that's justified. I think Walter Nolan's an absolute fucking fantastic player, and like if he does slip into the mid-teens, there would be part of me that hope Brad would go and do it. I think I would use the word transcendent. I think he will be a transcendent talent on the team that he falls to. I really, really, really do. So I can buy that completely.
The centre, Jared Wilson. What about Chicago trading up into the back end of the first round? Because it seems like centre is one of their bigger weaknesses, isn't it?
They've just signed. Exactly, they've just paid Drew Dalton. He's the second highest paid centre.
You're right.
So
they're paying him more money than Frank.
Underrated. Teams I could see it. Miami. I like Aaron Brewer, but he's undersized, and they can upgrade on him. Cincinnati. I mean, with Ted Karras again, upgradable.
I like Ted Karras.
He's like he's like the Dalton line of centers. Cleveland trading back up into the first, as we heard from Brent. Devin T is getting a bit old. Ethan Poaches is upgradable. Titans, Luke Cushenberry isn't all that. Broncos, if they want to get over Luke Wattenberg. And then, that's pretty much what. Maybe Falcons, like Ryan Nazeal is their center.
Who's the Packers center at the moment? Because they just got lost.
Elton Jenkins.
They can't play Jenkins as
They
centre.
are supposedly playing.
They can't. What a waste. I know that centre's an important position, but
yeah.
Jenkins is so important on that line. I don't get it.
Their projected line right now is Rashid Walker at left tackle, Aaron Banks left guard, Jenkins at centre, Sean Ryan at right guard, and then Zach Tom at right tackle.
You can get after that line. That's the weakest Green Bay Packers line we've seen since we were fans of the lines.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll see them draft a centre. And again, they've got a defensive coordinator on that staff who knows the centre in this draft very well. And he's going to be a very good centre.
No, not Duke Kendall.
Yeah, that would piss me off. That would piss me off as well. But I would not be surprised to see them go out and get... Because at least with Elton Jenkins, you can take a rookie and then blood him in. You don't need to start him day one whilst he learns.
Yeah.
I would... Because the centres, it's so weird after Jared Wilson and technically Gray, you're going to go all the way down to you got Seth McLaughlin, and then you're all the way down to guys like Drew Kendall and guys like that who are going to be day 3 guys. Gus
Hardwick. Is it Hardwick, the Purdue one?
Yeah, Gus. Yeah. Gus Herwig. Gus Herwig.
Yeah.
We've been asked a question by Brian, by the way. Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, go on.
So our most recent guest, Brian Gaynor, in the chat, just asking about his tight end 4, Luke Lackley. What do you think of Luke Lackey?
He's okay, I think. Let me double check why I have him.
Wait, is he in this year's draft?
He's in this one.
Why do they need one? They got Jake Ferguson not so long ago. I say they're about to pay him, aren't they? Big.
Supposedly, yeah. But let me have a look.
That's very dismissive, Ash. I remember that you liked him. I know you always hated Dallas taking him.
Yeah, same with Schoonmaker. Lackley. Well, right now he's ranked at 204. I have him as my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have him as my tight end 8.
It's a weird one. The tight end class is potentially so good this year, but they've got nothing to back them up, half of them, but they are really good potentially. Mm-hmm. Oh no, who would fit that Cowboys system better? I feel like Mason Taylor would do well in Dallas, but
I mean, why not stay in state? Why not stay in state and have Gunnar Helm?
I was thinking of a certain guy who I was thinking of the one that other than Taylor, the one tight end that pretty much every Lions fan wants. Jackson Horse, the Georgia Tech one.
Yeah.
As someone who seemingly is good at knowing which tight end the Cowboys are going to pick, like as you say, I've got Schoonmaker, I've got Jake Ferguson, I can see Jackson Horse, the Georgia Tech one there, which would again break my heart as much as he destroyed FSU.
Everyone drink. FSU reference.
I'll be drinking enough already.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Stephen Collins in the building. No idea who he is. But he says Zabel or Booker if they're around at 28.
Not my personal favourite to go offensive line. I'm not going to lie.
As a position group.
I want Mahogany to play this year, and I don't want to bed two new guards into the system at the same time. So, just not my personal preference. Great players, don't get me wrong, great players, but I just really want to fix this defensive line, and now I really, 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 really do. I know it's BPA, but surely got to be. There are enough defensive linemen and D tackles and edges out there this year for one of them to be BPA at 28 or nearby for him to trade for. Statistically, the odds are in our favour.
There's enough guards or tackles kicking in or whatever in late day 2 and day 3 territory that I think could be good backup or starters in a push. I don't think you need to do it at the back end of round 1. Like, Marks and Bow is going to be like a late day 2 pick or maybe early day 3. He's maybe a centre, but...
He's a tackle. He's played right tackle at
Purdue. He's projected to be centre in the NFL
You've got
because of his
proper
size.
Guards. You've got proper guards like Kandra and Slater later on.
Kandra, Slater for sure, but also you've got players like Dellinger.
Miles Frazier.
Who else is really good in here? I quite liked, was it Connor Colby?
Yeah.
You can sort out the guard problem later on. Is the overriding theory to this?
Yeah, and also guards traditionally just do get drafted later anyway, which is something I've issued all along.
If you want to pay all your stars, you've got to get guys like Christian Mahogany into the team and get them 6th round contracts in the team to bring your wage bill down. Don't just keep putting because first round pick still gets paid a lot of money. You know, it's still going to be a decent sized contract year upon year. You're trying to get rid of them middle level contracts out your team so that you can sign all your big guys. So it is much more financially beneficial for the Lions to stay pat on a guard this year and put Mahogany in, and then replace Glasgow next year, put another one in, because financially it brings the cost of that line right down, and we need it to come right down.
Because we want to be able to pay everyone else. That means we can pay JMO and Laporta and Branch and whoever else. We basically can't do guard. It's low-key. In round 1, there's almost no chance. From that perspective, if the thing is, Holmes will draft whoever he thinks is the best player on the board, but from a cap perspective, it might be a disastrous way to do it.
Yeah, he's got to start looking at replacing those guys. Like, you need a new D tackle this year because you'll want DJ Reader off the team next year with that $12 million a year contract. You know, extreme version, if you don't want Anzalone here next year because you don't want to pay that contract, you might have to look at another linebacker and get that in and bring that wage bill down. You know, Khalif Raymond will be off the bill next year. He's what, 6-7 million this year. So you want to make sure you've got someone in the pipeline so you don't bring him back on that way. You don't want those 6 to 12 million pound range players messing up your cap. You've got to try and get rid of those at some point. So Brad has to start thinking smartly about the cap at some point and replacing these guys who we just cannot afford if we want to go big on all our young stars, which is ideally what we want to do.
Low key, I think at the end of next off season, we'll look at re-upping our favourite cowboy linebacker, Malcolm, rather than Alex Anzalone. To be honest,
if he comes back from injury and plays well, and Jack takes the year 3 step, ideally that's what you do. Hell, they may even they may take a look at tackle this year if you're looking at Decker's long-term future, because you've got to re-up Frank next year, and I would re-up Frank in a heartbeat. You know, you've got to do that. So like Taylor's the one who's sticking out. Like, could we? Maybe. I just don't trust Manu in the slightest.
And to add to that, Decker's contract is tradable next off season.
Yeah, so we can't do that to him. Though.
If we're going to trade players, you don't trade your young stars, trade the older ones, and keep your team young. That's the way you're going to have to do it. So if it's the difference between Branch and Decker, sorry Taylor, I love you, but I love Branch more. I will do whatever it takes.
Right.
By the way, I saw a breaking rumor. Supposedly, Chicago and Jacksonville have a trade in place for players to come up to 5 for Gianti, with the Jags hoping that Tech McMillan falls to them at 10. Obviously,
Which
it's
you
not
probably
confirmed,
will.
but that is a rumor I've just seen on my phone.
Yes, that's somebody's mock draft. Like, oh, love this. Now we just need the San Francisco to 6, and you'll be buying me a beer.
Yeah.
Hey, I got San Francisco to 6 as well.
I know you have.
Anyway,
one's like,
so long as I don't come last, I'm happy.
One's there going, Membo. One's going, Graham.
Right, time to bring this to a close because we're live again in just over 2 hours' time. So we need to edit this and get it up so people can listen to it before the draft starts. So, boys, thank you very much for that. Thank you to Brett and Brian for being excellent guests. Our next show, as I just said, is at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be joined by 7 fantastic guests representing the Titans, Giants, Chiefs, Rams, 49ers, Commanders, and Panthers. You know where to find us on our socials. I won't bore you with it. We'll see you again in just over 2 hours. But for now, from the boys, let's go Lions, one pride.
One pride.
One pride.
Recording stopped.